recopy what's printed on the problem. Is that a plus sign or a minus sign? Recopy it right there. Put a plus sign right there. Leave some space because we're going to put some stuff in between that. Now we're going to put signs in the trinomial, and we're going to put the opposite of what we put there. What's the opposite of a plus sign? Put a minus sign here, and the last one is always positive. Make sure you leave space to write some numbers in there. That is how we sign it. And this is what this stands for. The S stands for the same as what was in the problem, which we did. We recopied the plus sign. The O stands for the opposite, which we put right there. That's the opposite sign of what we wrote. The last two letters go together. That means always positive. The last term is always a plus sign. All right, done with this. The next thing that we need to do is we need to root it. And remember, we're talking about cubes. You have to cube root stuff here. So what's the cube root of x to the third? What times itself makes x to the third? It's just an x. X times x times x. Just an x. So cube root it. What times itself 3 times makes 125? So you put a 5 in that other spot. That's it. You're done with that stuff. Now we got to fill in the missing pieces for the trinomial. So for the trinomial, we are going to square it. But here's the deal. As usual in math, you guys never look back. There's no rear view mirror in math. So this, I don't care about this. All of the rest of my work comes from that binomial x plus 5. So we're going to square it. The first term was an x. Y'all, what's x times x? X squared. The first term you square becomes the first term here after you square it. So write an x squared there. Now look at the last term of what we wrote. That's a 5 squared. What's 5 times 5? That's the last term. That's this step right here. The ends of the trinomial. We're almost done. We got one more piece. And the middle piece for the trinomial is the easiest. Y'all just multiply these together. What's 5 times x? Just 5x. Just stick them together. That's the middle piece. And that's it. That is factored. That is factored form. Let's take a look at another one. So on number 2, you have 2x to the third minus 54. Y'all, that is not a difference of 2 cubes. It's not. 2 is not a perfect cube. 54 is not a perfect cube. However, there's a GCF. What is the GCF? It's a 2. So let's factor out a 2. 2x to the third divided by 2 is just x to the third. What is 54 divided by 2? Almost. 27, good. Now, look over here, y'all. Is 27 perfect cube? You got to keep going. And I don't tell you that you have to keep going. It is your job to identify this stuff from here on out. So, we just did step 1. Step 2 is to sign it. So remember, this always is a little baby binomial and then a trinomial. So I can go ahead and set it up. I'm going to bring the 2 down because it is part of my answer. And then I'm going to set up my binomial and my trinomial. Remember, the sign that goes in there is whatever was printed on the problem. Is that a plus or a minus? It's a minus. So just recopy the minus sign. And then what's the opposite of a minus sign? A plus sign that goes there. The last term is always positive. So now we're done with step 2. Step 3 is to square root it. So guys, again, what is our cube root it? What's the cube root of x to the third? Just x. Look at the whiteboard. What is the cube root of 27? What is that over there? So 3. That's right. That's it. You're done with a binomial. Now we're going to do the next term. So remember, for the trinomial, it's all about the end pieces. This right here, that comes from this. X times x, you got to square it. The last piece over there comes from squaring 3. 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, so it goes right here. The very last thing is just to stick the two terms together, multiply the two terms together. So x times 3 is just 3x. So that's what you put here. Number 6 says 8x to the third minus 27y to the third power. So remember, for some reason, stare more. The first thing you need to do is factor out a GCF. Y'all, it looks like there's a GCF, but there's not. There's no common thing between 8 and 27. So the next thing is to sign it. Draw your binomial space, draw your trinomial space, and put in the signs. Remember, whatever is printed on the problem goes in the binomial. So these two have to be pluses. Also, remember that we are cube rooting the whole entire first term. Y'all, 8's perfect. What's the cube root of 8? 2. That's right. So you need to put a 2x here. 27 is perfect. Look at the board. What makes 27? A 3. But there is a y at the end. So make sure that you put a single y at the end of the trinomial. Now we're going to square these. Y'all, 2x times 2x, 2 times 2 is 4. X times x is x squared. You need to write 4x squared here. Your last term is going to be 3y times 3y. Don't forget to multiply 3 times 3. That's going to be 9y squared. Your middle term, you need to multiply all those together. Y'all, what's 2 times 3? You're going to have just 6xy. That's all it is. Don't even worry about the signs. You already have the signs. Just write 6xy. And that's how you multiply.